everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
Today we're taking a look at the 7th Citadel. This is the sequel to the 7th Continent, which I don't think you guys ever played the 7th Continent, did you?
No, I don't think so.
Well, you would remember because it's exactly like this game in many ways. To the point where I'm going to do a separate video comparing the two of them. So if you're a fan of 7th Continent, to see what the difference is in the 7th Citadel. But here we're going to be talking about it from a new game perspective. In this game, you are a slave gardener. That is what they call us. Stuck in this giant citadel, which has an earthquake, and you break out. And that is the beginning of the game. The game is sort of an open world game. I say sort of because while you can go anywhere and do anything, it gives you very specific tasks to go and do.
And if you don't do that, you'll probably die.
Probably. So here's a little bit about how the game works, and we'll come right back. I'm going to be giving a basic overview and try not to spoil stuff too much. You'll start the game with a character, and you can pick either side, but it's basically the same. Each character is going to come with a deck of cards that you'll be able to customize a little bit at the beginning of the game. And you also get a character and a dial to keep track of your hit points. At the beginning of the game, you will start with a new beginning, which will give you some of the backstory. It will talk about the different characters that you pick, and it's going to help you play through the first game. And in fact, there's a conclusion and stuff, but this is pretty much just a starting tutorial to play through the game. When you're finished with that, you are going to pick a book to go through. Now this book here, The Final Throne, comes with an expansion, but the Drums of Desolation or this one are books that you can pick, and each book is going to have sort of an introduction. It will talk about things, and in between different sections you'll be playing the actual game. Then you'll have some conclusions and you'll go on and go through. Most of the missions will have players on a map. So here, for example, is a map, and when you're on a map, you're going to have different options that you can do, and this is kind of the flow of the game. Many options will show a symbol showing you what kind of action that is. Then it will show a blue number and a star number. The blue number is how many cards you need to draw. In this case, it's 0. And then the star is how many successes you need, which is also a 0. So this is a free action. You also, on your character cards, have the opportunity to go to an adjacent spot to move. Whenever you move, you're going to look at this number here. This is a 1. So I'll draw a card from a 1 deck, and this is sort of a random encounter that you will have, and you'll do whatever it says on a random encounter. Sometimes it's an enemy, it could be anything. Well, once you then are done with that random encounter, you will continue on, and you will find another card here. So this one, for example, says to go to 81. This one over here would go to 94. And you can see that these cards are going to have numbers on them and things that you can find, and also show you the different directions as you go. The level 1 encounter deck is pretty light, but it goes all the way up to level 10 encounters, which can be excruciatingly difficult and dangerous. And you'll notice there's different things that you can find on the different cards, and this one here costs an extra thing to take a test. But sometimes you're going to have tests that you can do. Sometimes you might even find a secret number hidden on one of these cards. If you do that, you just find the number. So let's say, for example, I said, hey, I found 474. So I pull out 474, and nope, 474 is not a hidden number. It will tell me if it was on the front of this card. And you're going to find various things that will attach to these cards or things that you can do. Like here, for example, at 160, if I look at this website, so I'll take the card 160 from the deck, and it will say, hey, there's this big giant piece of machinery. I'll put this here to show there's a piece of machinery sitting here. Now these cards can also change when you're going through the cards to find for a number. So let's say I need to draw a card 162. If it's a normal mission, I'll just draw one of these 162. Either one works. But if I'm playing a mission that has this symbol, and each of the missions in the game will tell you what symbol you're using for that particular scenario. If I had one with that pumpkin, I would draw this card instead, which could be just a completely different card and something else will happen. Now, whenever you take a test, you're going to be drawing cards from a deck. This one, for example, there's a man with a book. I'm trying to steal it off him. If I have this criminal keyword, it would be an easy test. But this says I need to draw 2 or more cards to get 2 successes. Now I could draw as many cards as I want, so I might be like, I'll draw 4 cards. So I turn over 1. This shows 1.5 successes. Another one, this is half a success, but it doesn't match that star, so it's no good. This, ooh, great. That matches. Now I have 3 successes, and another. I actually have 4 successes. So you're trying to get successes, but this has a little chain on the card, which means I need those successes on exactly 2 cards, which fortunately I did. I got 3 successes on 2 cards, so I very much did that. And so I would do the white on this card for a success. I would do the black if I did not have that success. And cards can give you, you can find items, you can have status effects happen to you, like I might become exhausted from a test, and then there's cards in front of me. You might find items that you will get over the course of the game, or equipment that you can use. All sorts of things will happen to you. Players will also have cards in their hand. When a card's in your hand, these symbols here, if it matches the test type, so you can see this test was a specific, like a stealth test. This is a fighting card, but you can play that, and some of these cards will change symbols, like it will change these, into successes. And there are different ways to get cards. You always start each scenario with some cards in your hand, but there are other ways to add cards to your hand. And as the game goes by, there's going to be a way to add different cards to your deck to do and play with these scenarios. So failures are not very good at all, but successes can be fantastic. The game also comes with this dialogue book. At the beginning of the dialogue book, it actually gives you some things, glossary here of different things that are happening. You can look at this anytime you want. But many times it will tell you to refer to different dialogue, and you'll go to that section and read it, and it will give you cards, you'll have discussions, you'll jump from page to page, and there's a lot of dialogue in this book. And this is going to be a good chunk of what you're doing over the course of the game, talking to different people and dealing with them. Also, after the prologue, you'll be starting a community. In the community, this is kind of your own community that you're building of survivors who are hanging out with you. And you're going to keep track of your production, defense, knowledge, and influence. These things will affect various cards and things that happen in the game. You have a ground shiver level, which will affect how far you can travel. Inside here, there is a map of the whole region that you can look at. There are side quests that you can find and deal with. This here is a destiny thing, which as there's different cards and things that will allow you to check things off in this destiny. And each of these has a special benefit down here. And you got to follow it like a tree. And some of them can even lead to different cards and things that you will find. On the back of this sheet, there are buildings that you can build that you will be adding to your town. A lot of the Destiny sheet things will allow you to add more buildings. Each of these buildings will do various things. Some of them are pretty mundane and will just add to your knowledge or your supplies. Others, like the gambling den, you can try to get items at the beginning of every mission, and they can add a lot of fun consequences. These show you actions and all the different things. This is kind of a summary on here with the creatures traits when you run across evil creatures that you have to fight. So you're going to be using this for your campaigns, and you'll be coming back here time and time again. When you go through a campaign, you will be playing through the different scenarios. It will start you on a card, you'll go around the map, you'll come back, and eventually you'll get to the end of the campaign, and then you can read another campaign and go through another campaign, or you can just stop your game there. It's up to you. One last thing before we get back to review. You might end up fighting creatures, and sometimes you'll fight creatures, and so you'll put like a die on a card to keep track. You might have to fight them multiple times. And the game, I mentioned earlier, you're discarding cards to do things. Well, if you run out of cards, you're going to need to get those cards back. You're not going to be able to do anything, and so you give up life points to get these cards back. 1 life point gets you 2 random cards back into your deck. You can give up as many as you want. You're going to find things to increase your life points, but you also run across things like these that can hurt you. And if you die, then the mission's going to fail. And so you're trying to keep everybody alive, but things like this and other traps and weird things that you run across can be a problem. So there's a lot going on in this game. Let's talk about the theme first. What did you think about the theme of worms versus plants? It's the original Plants versus Zombies. I don't know. Not today.
But there were worms? Yeah, like in the beginning, there was like in the prison, there was a bunch of wormholes, and I think that's the reason why it fell apart. Like,
Yeah, that's the reason buildings are falling, because the worms are like digging holes into the
Oh, I
ground.
thought all the humans just made like a mutiny and started setting all the plants on fire or something.
No.
Well, the story is actually pretty in-depth. There's so much. They'll be like Jabakaba and Zabuzuba and the Necro Druids and la-di-da-la-da. And I'm like, okay, it takes a bit to get used to. There's a lot going on.
That's true.
But what did you think of the story itself as we escaped from the Citadel and started a new city?
I did like the story, although I'm still confused as to why the people around us, even though there's not many, like, they just act as if nothing's happening.
Well, maybe because they're so used to the horrors of life that it's the same.
I mean, I've kind of lost
look,
track
there's
of
my
the
neighbor
story.
Jerry being eaten by a worm. Oh well.
Poor Jerry. I don't know. It was kind of, I kind of lost track of it after a while. The escaping the Citadel was definitely the most fun, or at the very least, most interesting part of the story.
Well, it's
for
very
me.
action-packed. Like, oh, this is happening. Now what are you going to do? Here's a situation. Here's a
Yeah.
situation. And then you go out and explore the lands. Did you guys like that part where you could go explore and find things?
Yeah, I liked exploring, especially like looking closely at each of the tiles, and I especially like the designs.
Yeah, I think the map looks great.
Oh yeah, obviously.
What did you think about the city building part?
I like building the city and how you can build whatever you wanted without any consequences.
Whatsoever.
Okay, there are some consequences,
All
but
right,
like
correction.
I won't-
There's no consequences to what buildings you can build in what order.
Well, no, there is.
There is.
Don't you remember?
I mean, sure.
that's more of getting an extra reward rather than a consequence for building something.
No, I'm talking about that guy.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
like,
But like, we didn't know that would happen.
There is something I do want to talk about in this game, though. It feels, and I might be wrong, it feels like any morally gray choice to make is always wrong. Which, I guess if you're teaching a moral fable, like, yes, lying is bad, stealing is bad, because you shouldn't do those things in real life.
throwing a person off the ledge is bad.
Should also not do that in real life. But here's the thing. In the game, if you have a decision to make, so far at least, if you make the bad decision, it always comes back to bite you.
Yeah.
So you just don't do it, I think.
Yeah.
Am I wrong there? Like,
Yeah.
if you lie to someone or steal from someone, it will come back to bite you. And again, that's a great fable, but then don't give me the choice if you're just going to make me do the one choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
always do the
ignoring
one
them is
choice.
boring, but like, it's better than stealing from them because clearly that's not going to help you in any way.
That's true. I guess the moral we definitely did ignore a lot of people who probably needed help. And we were like,
Well, it's not like we could have helped some of them. Violet tried feeding a guy a rock that I encouraged. But, like,
I feel as if we crushed it down enough, it could have been edible.
so what did you think about the card system? Using cards to solve stuff.
I think the stars were a bit too high, considering that a lot of our cards just had like half stars, and half the time you would get the same side. So you would just get continuous, like maybe 5 cards, and none of them connect to each other.
I mean, that's actually kind of hard to find. But yeah, the skill, trying to get a success for a lot of them was really difficult.
What do you mean hard to find? That happened to me several times.
Well,
5 cards and you
I
didn't get
think-
a single star.
Okay, 5 cards is a bit of an exaggeration, but still.
for people who've never played the game before, I think the card system is fairly complex. It doesn't seem that complex. This game makes it even more complex than the last game because you're flipping cards over and you need a certain number of successes. But if there's a chain symbol, you need them on a very specific number of cards. Before it was just like, well, I need 6. You know what? I'm going to turn over 15 cards. You can't do that anymore because you might need 6 successes on 4 cards. But then there's symbols that can be changed, and there's cards you play from your hand to help change things, and you can manipulate stuff, and there's just a lot going on. And combat in this game, your life points, well, we kept finding cards that increase our life points. We also played on the easiest mode. I always
That's
play
true.
games on the easiest mode, but
Yeah.
The thing that stopped us, and here's the thing, I'm going to give, I love this game. I have a lot of things I really enjoy about this game. But the thing that keeps me from really loving it is the mechanism by which you do major story beats. So when I get to find, oh, here's the major thing, like at one point, we needed to find a guy. We get to a spot and they're like, well, draw a card from these 6 cards. 3 of them are good, 3 are bad. If it's bad, you don't find the guy. If it's good, you find the guy. And if you don't find the guy, then you just go back to the Citadel, trudging and defeat it. And we did all that stuff, and I feel like there's nothing we could have done differently. There's nothing we could have played or done differently. We just drew a bad card, and that single bit of luck keeps me from loving the game. Now, the story will proceed. You just won't have that guy anymore. But then you're not as cool as you were, and I guess you could... That draw those cards, there's these 6 cards you draw that say you are jinxed, or what's the other one say? Something like you have good fortune or something like that. And the game has you do that a lot, but always for major things. It feels like this is a major part of the story. And I want to say there was one time where we were like, nah, we didn't draw that card and we found the guy. We definitely did that at least once.
Yeah.
We cheated, and we don't care, because we wanted to follow the story to its conclusion, and we had traveled halfway across the continent to find this guy. We weren't going to let him die on us. Now, for some people, they'll love that aspect of it, like, ooh, it's like real life, hard and difficult. But
I feel as if he'd still be at home, regardless of the luck.
I feel like board games shouldn't be realistic. Like, I can understand story-wise, but...
But, like, that's realistic, but, like, the worms and everything else just...
So the fantasy part should be...
Like, we found a guy who was proud of his cemetery. I don't think that's very realistic.
You're still annoyed about that.
Yeah, our cemetery is way better. I don't know why he was gloating.
So there's a lot going on in the story, and definitely it has to... The aspect of this is go do something, and you go through missions in the book, and then you go to the next mission, and the missions are going to change, and you're going exploring a land. I think the art in this game for the world is really beautiful. I think the art for the people is pretty ugly. But...
It was just the hair that bothered me.
The hair, so the people are fine. Yeah, but if you take the hair off, they all look the same. Whoever draws it like the same person, just puts different hair on them.
Your guy looked older.
Okay, my guy had wrinkles.
Exactly.
But if you like a game that lets you just go out and explore and find all kinds of weird stuff, we found some really neat things, and we're like, well, we can't do this now. We'll come back later and do it.
Yeah.
Or it definitely is full of, the world's super dangerous. Like, we stayed near the Citadel, you're fine. But as the farther you move from the Citadel, everything you do, like, there's a plant, it's going to kill you. There's a cat, going to bite you. No matter what you found, it's saying like something bad would happen.
That's true. And it's a lot of risk putting a lot of cards in something that could potentially be okay or good.
Yeah.
So as we go through the story and as we play through, there's a lot. This takes a while, but it's broken up into decent chunks. You can play it like 60 minutes, 90 minutes a chunk and then save it. There's a lot of packing away to do each time. But each mission isn't particularly long. I think the first mission for us was the longest.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Where we had to travel really far. But one thing I like is I like having that big map and going, I think we need to go this direction.
No,
But stuff on the map might not be completely accurate.
Because, it's a map.
We also played with all the expansions. The expansions you can just tuck in and just random things show up to be heading where you are. But like you found a book, which I thought was awesome. That was a neat thing to see, and I like stuff like that. But overall, what'd you think?
I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you with the way you were talking about it. It's really difficult. The story's nice and the map looks cool, but honestly, there wasn't anything particular about it that made me go, wow, I really like this game.
Okay.
Maybe like a 6.5.
Okay.
Well, I really like the game. I would give it an 8, honestly. I really liked the art and as well as the story. And I liked how, like, each of the characters just felt fundamentally different, and you would easily remember them if you ever came across them again.
So
like, regardless if they...
Positive or negative. Yes, I agree on that. They gave them personalities.
Yes. And as you said, I really like the map and how it like connected together, and how each map still looked like fundamentally different, that it's easily recognizable if you ever came across the tile again.
Which mattered at one point. Because
Yes.
we're like, have we been in this area before? And you were like, for sure. And I was like, I don't remember at all, but okay.
And then I pointed out this one dude, and you're like, ah, yes.
Well, I did remember him, the guy with the cemetery. You're still mad at that guy.
I feel like that was mostly Violet.
Oh, trying to put the blame on me now. Anyway, I liked the game a lot. You?
I also really enjoyed the game, but like I said, there's a couple things that keep me from it being excellent. The crazy luck at certain points. It is very hard, and I think the new card system that they implemented is more complex than it needs to be. Like when we're adding new cards to the deck, you get new cards. I'm like, these look good. I don't know, I mean, I think these are good to put in your deck. I don't think, we said that all the characters are memorable. I don't think we were. I don't think our characters were very different. I know we had different decks, but I couldn't tell you, like, wasn't your person like a proud person and I was an old man? I know that, but like, I didn't feel like our decks felt like we were playing different people.
Maybe if we like got further into the story where like our personal quest came out, but like I didn't even know when that was going to happen.
That's true. We didn't get far enough to see our personal quest. You start with a personal quest. We didn't see that, but I still enjoy it. I like it a lot. I think it will be best played, and I don't mean this negatively. I think this will be most fun played solo. Just because you can go through the story a lot faster. You make all the decisions. You have one deck. You have 50 life or whatever. You get a big amount of life when you're by yourself.
That makes sense.
And you just go through and play it. And I might do some of that because I'm just curious to see what will happen. And I want to see what happens to the city. I'm very curious where that city will go. But that's the 7th Citadel. Again, I'll be doing another video where I'll be comparing this to the 7th continent. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Violet.
And I'm Ruby.
See you all later.